Episode 9 is set to include many different twists and turns, as well as surprises by writer and director J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio. This is Mike Zero. If you guys are new to the channel, do make sure to subscribe to see future Star Wars content. Now, one thing that a lot of people are really looking forward to seeing in this movie are, of course, the cameos that will be inserted into the film by J.J. that'll also have connections to the prequels and the originals for Episode 9. Now, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film when it comes to some of the set leaks, the set designs, the concept art, and storyboard descriptions, etc. One of which has all to do with both Anakin Skywalker, Luke Skywalker, and Rey as well in the sequence. Specifically, a description of both Anakin Skywalker and Luke in a cave face to face, with each of them appearing to have a slight blue hue. It's described that Rey is standing in the background next to R2-D2, witnessing the two communicating with each other. The next goes over a rear shot of Rey with both Force ghosts of Anakin and Luke looking at her, with Luke sticking his hand out toward Rey, signaling her to come closer. Another describes Rey receiving a lecture from both Luke and Anakin. The appearance of Anakin's ghost is described to have ceremonial robes, with his hair combed back, however still long. Lastly, one of which goes over Luke and Anakin both sitting on a stone bench with a full moon in the background of the exit to the cave. So I want to go over a couple of parts about this and as to why I feel like it's going to be one of the most emotional sequences in the sequel trilogy that JJ could really create. And something that a lot of people have wanted to see for the longest time is, of course, a father and son reunion scene in, of course, the Star Wars sequel trilogy. Now, we've never actually had the moment to see both Luke and Anakin communicate with each other, aside from, that one moment between both Anakin and Luke before his death. Technically, at the time, he was still Darth Vader because he was still all suited up and had the burns. So we didn't get that visual feeling of both Anakin and Luke having a real reunion. So now in Episode 9, a lot of people are really hoping that J.J. Abrams will really knock this movie out of the park and do an excellent job at it all. So the first one that I want to go over is the sequence in which both Luke and Anakin are actually standing in front of each other face to face, communicating with each other, giving us that father and son reunion. Now, this also lines directly up with what we heard a couple of weeks ago, that Mark Hamill actually shot a sequence in front of a green screen that would be used for some of the sequences that are being taken from Revenge of the Sith, unused footage from that movie and deleted scenes, inserted into Episode 9 of Hayden Christensen. So you can really see what JJ is really trying to do here for the characters of Anakin and Luke in this story. Now, the next thing that I do want to go over is how Rey and R2-D2 are inside of a cave, witnessing the two Force ghosts communicating with each other, eventually giving Rey a lecture in the film. So we do know that JJ is going to be giving Rey a lot of training sessions, or I should say some lectures, if you will, by the Force ghost of course, Luke Skywalker, and even somewhat of course, Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now, we do know that JJ has a lot of plans to really go out with a bang in this movie in order to really fill it up with nostalgia and fan service, in order to really satisfy a lot of fans around the world, whether or not, you're into the prequels or the originals. If you're still into comics, books, and novels, apparently this movie is really going to gravitate towards those fans. So the next one that I do want to go over that sounds like it's very similar to the sequence in The Last Jedi of Act 2 is where you have both Anakin and Luke sitting on a stone bench, but in the background there's a full moon. Now, in The Last Jedi, we saw a full moon outside of the cave of the First Jedi Temple. So it sounds like JJ actually wants to do a similar visual, right, in this sequence involving both Anakin and Luke, with a full moon in the background shining through them. Now, honestly, that's got to be quite the impressive piece of, I guess you could say, in form of cinematography, if you look at it like that. Like, I don't know how they would actually shoot that, or how that would be done through CGI, but that to me sounds like it's going to be very impressive if they can really pull that off with the full moon shining through both Force ghosts of Anakin and Luke while they are looking at Rey and giving her a lecture as she is standing next to R2-D2. So I'm not quite sure exactly what planet this is based on. This could also very well be either the exterior of the Lost City or maybe inside inside of the Lost City. In case you guys did not know, the Lost City is going to play a huge role in this movie. It's something that never made it to the final cut of course, Episode 7, that will now be a part of Episode 9. So like I say, I feel like that in The Last Jedi, we should have gotten that whole entire sequence between both Anakin and Luke. The reason being is because Rian Johnson has actually stated before in the past that Luke would not recognize Hayden Christensen's version of Anakin Skywalker. That's exactly why Anakin was not thrown in Episode 8. That was Rian Johnson's reason. Now, the same exact thing went for, of course, Obi-Wan Kenobi, how Luke would not recognize the Ewan McGregor version of that character. But like I say, CGI can always fix things, and it can always really modify the actual footage and or the figures that you're trying to insert into a film. So with this movie, this is the final shot, right? The final chance for JJ and crew in order to really get it right for the characters of Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Luke Skywalker, whatever have you in the form of Force Ghost or flashback sequences for Luke. I know that a lot of people are really worried about what JJ's going to do at the very end of this movie for these characters, so let's just hope for the best and cross our fingers that this movie is actually going to turn out to be the best of the sequel trilogy, which is honestly what my gut feeling is telling me right now. Anyways guys, drop a comment below, let me know what you think about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.